So you want a better life. You want to improve the people you're hanging around. You're so tired of the drama, the gossip, the backstabbing, the low vibes. You want to raise your vibration, is really what you're yearning for. Um, in order to get to that enlightened life that we're looking for, those of us that are awakening, some of us are at the beginning of our awakening, some of us have been at it for years. Nobody's ahead, nobody's behind. We're all on this path together. But we need to raise our vibration and get in alignment with who you personally are, is how this happens. So we need to start realizing that those people that we're hanging around that are causing us stress and possible toxic ways of navigating the world, like gossiping and backstabbing and trying to control other people's lives, talking about other women's decisions and, oh my God, why is she doing that? It is such a low vibe. So, I mean, sometimes this is a later step for people, but I feel that once we start surrounding ourselves with like minded people and other people and places that are vibrating closer to the vibration that we're trying to achieve, I feel like our growth can happen faster. I mean, we can be doing all the things, removing all the toxins from our physical life, taking care of our body. But if we're still consuming the low vibration energy of other people, I feel like that is a big one. I mean, our aura spreads 12 feet out from us. And I mean, I know there are different beliefs out there, but when we can feel energy, I mean, you've probably experienced this. But, let's talk about the different layers of, and this isn't all of them. There's many, many, many layers that we can work on, improving ourselves and our lives and working towards a healthier vibration, enlightenment, and ascending into who we really are, who we want to be, and who we came here to be. And that starts with removing the toxins and things that don't vibrate on the same frequency. And this includes things like removing toxins from your home, like scented laundry detergent. Those scents are extremely unhealthy. They cause cancer, they cause allergies, skin conditions. There's a laundry list, no pun intended. So try switching to something that has essential oils, or just something healthier. We have loads of cleaners in our home. I one day just made up my mind and I got 2 boxes. I needed 2 boxes to remove all of the cleaners from my home and switch to, essential oils like with lemon and rosemary. And I use a little bit of baking soda for scrubbing power. Window cleaners, scented bubble bath, scented shampoos and conditioners, scented hand soap, antimicrobial hand soap we do not need. Why would we kill all the good bacteria on our hands? And this isn't to shame anybody. I was the queen of buying scented everything. It smelt pretty, it made me feel pretty, but what I didn't realize is it was making me sick. And it did end up having a very severe health journey a few years ago. Um, something that I'm doing right now is I'm trying to thrift a lot of stuff, but switching my clothing. While I do have quite a few organic um, items, I'm trying to switch to ethically sourced as well. And, wool sweaters, real wool, like merino wool. And yeah. And I mean, I think the big shift that needs to happen is changing our diet that to one that is supporting our health. So we can start with, one thing at a time. Sometimes our nervous system can't handle a whole reset of everything in our pantry and fridge, but we can start with removing seed oils and start slowly replacing your cheese and cracker snacks with, you know, apple and nut butter, slow changes. And I think a big one that is really supported by society is alcohol. It's, you might as well be drinking boat gas. It is horrible for the body. It is considered a number one carcinogen, which means that the way it behaves in the body is that it directly causes cancer. And it's just one of those things that also opens up. When you think about it, when you drink too much to the point that you pass out, you're unconscious. So, right starting from that first sip, you're becoming unconscious and open to other entities and energies. So, it's a really dangerous game, drinking. And I mean, there's another layer too, clean water. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole about the alcohol, but drinking clean water. And I don't mean, filtered so much that it's stripped of all its minerals, but finding a good, clean spring water that you can consume. Some even go as far as drinking, pH balanced water, um, alkaline water. And, these are all habits that we can improve because really everything that we do is a habit. I mean, I've heard an analogy before where, you know, our subconscious mind is driving us. And, when you've thought of that time when you were driving down the road and you park in your driveway or you get to the store and you don't really remember getting there, so we are habitual creatures. But we need to improve our habits, and you can start wherever you want, but we want these healthier habits to stay. And in order to do that, we have to give up our old self. We need to stop hiding. We need to stop playing small. And we need to live our truth, not just speak it. I remember in my very early, early days of wanting a better life and just fucking tired of myself, of going out on the weekends and drinking and feeling like crap for 3 or 4 days and then recovering and feeling good. And then Friday night comes along and do it all again. I got really sick of it. And, I was talking the talk that I wanted all of these things. And that's okay. That's how it starts, is with awareness. But I had to start living what I was speaking. I mean, I used to burn a candle and burn incense and sage and didn't really do that with intention, had no idea what I was doing. I was just, wanted to be like those other people that I looked up to that were very deep into their spiritual journey and living life true to themselves. So we can do all those things, but I think it's important to do our own studying, research, reading, and start integrating truth into our life to create a new paradigm and building a new you. And, back to like if we're surrounded by other people who don't have that same motivation to improve their lives, it's going to be really difficult to stay in your own energy and keep growing. And this is really painful. I found it really painful with some of the people that were in my life and having to pull away from that. And, this is called playing big, and most of us stay small so that we aren't seen. But pushing through that pain and just allowing yourself to feel the emotions, move through the emotions instead of pushing them away, and just embracing that this is part of it. It doesn't affect your value. You're still valuable. And as a matter of fact, doing this hard work and playing big in the world makes you valuable. And what we're doing by this is we're embellishing our ego. We're expanding our ego. We're raising our vibration. And along with that is letting go of our stubborn, unhealthy ways, moving away from our toxic ego, our masculine ego. We want a balanced, embellished ego, is what we're working towards. And you know what happens when you start integrating this with faith and conviction? You will start attracting like minded people. And this happens because your energy field no longer feels prickly, it's more inviting. You're starting to vibrate on the same level as those other people who are vibrating higher and healthier. A lot of people don't do this because changing all of this stuff is not only painful, but it is extremely difficult to change these habits. So I invite you to find out your why. Why are you doing all of this? And write it down, pin it up somewhere so you can see it on a mirror. But I think knowing why you're doing this, I think, is crucial with any huge change in our lives. And ask yourself, why am I wanting to improve my life? Do I have a specific goal, or is it just a generalized goal? It doesn't really matter, but the goal for you to work towards is what matters. And then start manifesting that. Keep it at the forefront every day when you get up. I've heard in some circles that some people are waiting for someone to come save them. Like in religion, I know some people are waiting for Jesus or God to come save them. But in reality, it's you that saves you. It's beautiful to be in a higher consciousness, and whether you call it the universe, Gaia, God, Mother Earth, Spirit, it's all the same. So when you start to experiment and experience shifts in your life, you're going to see huge contrast between you and other people. And the painful part is that a lot of these people will be your blood family. The first time you remove someone that doesn't align with your life, it will most likely be extremely painful. But also, you'll have an underlying sense of feeling enlightened and feeling really good about this decision. And these shifts are what lead us to our Kundalini awakening. This is a cleansing force. You can't go back, and you'll start purging emotions, toxins, thought patterns, anything stuck within the body. You may see ailments or autoimmune diseases clear up. Old programming will go away. And it can feel like life isn't working, or you feel like you're living a lie. And there's this urge to change everything at once because it's so painful. You may even start seeing or hearing spirits, seeing repeating numbers, synchronicities, like you were just talking about somebody and then they phone you or they text you, those types of synchronicities. This is a good sign that your chakras are balancing because we can have energy fields closed off too much or too open. And that, and this is an imbalance. Our old patterns that don't align contribute to that imbalance. You can have really big shifts in your life. And even though sometimes they may feel really painful, they also make you feel really, really good eventually. And your blind spots aren't blind spots anymore. And you think, why didn't I see this before? But that's the beauty of awakening. Feeling shame around that, it's not shame. It's something to be proud of, that you're awakening to all of this stuff that you didn't want to look at before. And things tend to get worse before they get better because the things we are letting go of need to be worked through sometimes to enter our flow state. The system is not supportive of Kundalini awakening. The outer world, the workforce, the schools, the hospitals, society, it's designed to keep us in that system, to separate us. And it keeps us spiritually blind. Right from day one, when we enter the world, they inject us with toxins that we don't need. Unless you were born into the world with conscious parents, you most likely were born into the world with those types of things hindering the balance of your energies. So, integrating how you feel, what you believe, how you want your life to look, you need to live what you want and live what you preach.